Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Johanna Ulysse, and I'm honored to be your host for today's episode of Conversation with Haitian Authors. This series highlights Haitian writers and their books and give us the opportunity to learn more about their stories, inspiration, and the messages they want to share with the world. Today, we are excited to feature author Parnel Jean, who will be speaking with us about his book, Dear Aurélie, The Father and Daughter Talk, a book that reflects on fatherhood, family values, and guidance for young women. Before we begin, I would also like to thank our partner, Collège Café, whose motto is No More, Pay Less. They are committed to helping students and family find information about scholarships and financial aid, and we truly appreciate their support for this program. Thank you all for joining us today. Let's begin the conversation. Hello, Parnel Jean. How are you doing?
Hi, Johanna. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for asking. And can you please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about your journey as a writer and as a father?
Sure. So, like you mentioned, my name is Parnel Jean. I am the author of Dear Aurélie, The Father and Daughter Talk. The book is a collection of life lessons drawn from my personal experiences that I share with my daughter to help guide her as she transition into womanhood. The book focuses on character, spirituality, relationships, and creation and management of wealth. My hope is that the conversation in the book will also resonate with other young women who may benefit from the perspective and encouragement of a father's voice. So now, as a father, I truly enjoy the different phases of fatherhood. Each phase brings its own lessons, challenges, and moments of joy, and I wouldn't skip a single step. So I
Mm,
look forward with excitement to the phases still ahead. And if you would allow me, I want to take this moment to give a shout out to my father as well, who set a great example of what fatherhood should look like. His presence and guidance showed me the importance of being intentional when raising children. So, overall, being present and committed to raising loving, happy, and capable children is one of the greatest responsibility and privileges of my life. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
wow, that is so cute. Congratulations, by the way, to be a father. And
Thank you.
of course, in our Haitian community, a lot of children, boys and girls, don't have the privilege to have their father in their lives. So speaking about fatherhood, in our in your book, you once said that when your daughter was born, you finally understood why we have children. Everybody keeps saying once you have children, you'll get it. So since you have one, can you share that moment with us? How does it feel to be a father?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question, right? In our culture, you often hear that the saying, "Bourrique fait petit pour dol poser." So,
True.
while I
Very.
understand the meaning behind it, right, I always believed there had to be something deeper. So, over the years, before I became a parent, I kept asking people, "Why do you have kids?" And I never really received a satisfying answer. So now, fast forward to me become a father. So when my daughter was born, that experience was almost an out of body experience, right? Witnessing the entire process. That gave me a renewed level of respect for women, it made me realize how powerful, strong, and special women truly are. But the first time that I held Aurelie in my hands, I knew that anyone who has the opportunity to have that experience should definitely take full advantage of it. It's a feeling that's very hard to describe. But even then, I still didn't get the full answer. The story that I tell in my book, where I bought Aurelie a gift for her birthday, and she was so excited. She ran upstairs with the gift, and halfway up, she stopped and then turned around, came back down, and gave me the biggest hug and said, "Thank you, Daddy. I love you." So in that moment, I remember it as if it happened yesterday. I heard something in my mind that said, "That's the answer you were looking for. That's the reason why you have children." It was a level of pure love, authentic gratitude, and admiration that only a child can give. It's difficult to put into words, which is why now I have grace for people who could then give me a satisfying answer when I was asking the question. It's just a matter of you living the moment, right? And in the moment, you would pretty much get your answer. So now I find myself that young people, are coming up to me and asking me the same questions, and I can't even give them an answer. So I just tell them I don't know. But what
At
I
least
tell
you're
them
being
is,
honest, though.
I'm sorry.
The honesty. At least you're being honest, even though
Exactly,
you
right.
couldn't find
Yeah,
the
I tell
answer
them
or you
I
can't
don't know.
explain. Yeah.
Yes, I tell them I don't know. But if you are married and you are mentally ready to take on the responsibility, chances are you will not regret the decision.
Okay. And speaking of responsibilities, I don't know if you answered that already, but how did becoming a father change the way responsibilities as a man?
So I have a nice story for this one too, right? So as an engineer, I naturally to be in control. I want to understand how things work and anticipate the different ways situations can unfold so then I can be prepared. So going into fatherhood, that mindset made me very nervous because I knew I wouldn't have control. And I was afraid that I might fall short of my responsibilities as a father. So the process of becoming a father humbled me in ways I never expected. So I remember the moment when I realized that I was ready to take that on. So my wife had a natural birth, and when we returned home, there was this one night that she needed help getting out of bed to use the restroom. So I was holding the baby in one hand, and she suddenly lost her footing and she was about to fall. So instinctively, I reached out for her, and then I held both the baby and her at the same time, and I caught her. And in that moment, something shifted in me, right? So I felt I truly became a man, a husband, a father, right? Because I feel, okay, maybe I got it.
Yeah.
I was no longer focused on the fear or the doubts. Instead, I felt ready to take on the family and embrace the responsibility that came with it. So, fatherhood definitely changed me for the better. It gave me the opportunity to live through the lives of the people I love most, watching my family grow and flourishing and succeed is my greatest flex, actually. And in many ways, it helps me quiet my own ego and find happiness to their journey. Watching my kids being healthy, happy, growing without question is one of my greatest accomplishments.
That is so sweet, such a nice story. So, would you say that the most important role of a father is to be a provider and a protector for his daughter?
Yeah, so all of that, right? So I'm gonna keep this one short with less words and without a story so we could get straight to it. As a father, your role is to love, protect, to reassure your daughter and being able to model strong character, right? Being the example of a man that she will use as a template to decide on her own partnership. And the last one, which is to me is very important, is just being present. So a lot of time we think they are looking for perfection, and they are not. They just want you to be there. They want to know that you will be there. I encourage all fathers to find ways to be present and be part of their daughters' lives because it makes such a big difference on how they interact with men throughout their lives.
Such a nice answer. Thank you so much. Okay, we were talking about fatherhood, but before we continue in the family part, let's talk about womanhood. In your book, you define a woman both scientifically and spiritually. Were you concerned, since you've been using the Bible a lot, were you concerned that this perspective might create mixed opinions among readers?
That is a great question. So my answer might be a bit. controversial because I personally do not believe that spirituality and science are opposing concepts. In fact, I believe they complement each other. So, as someone with a scientific background, I see science as a tool that help us better understand the world around us, including aspect of existence, creation that many people describe as spiritual. Science does not in any way replace spirituality, nor does it offer an entirely opposite perspective. Instead, it allows us to observe, study, and explain the mechanism that shape our reality and apply them to improve civilization and our quality of life on Earth. In my view, science does not truly create anything new. It only uses what already exists in the universe. To me, it is seen more as a bridge that brings us closer to understand a deeper structure of existence rather than standing in opposition to spirituality. It can serve as a bridge that help us explore and appreciate the profound complexity of our world, but definitely not opposite to it. So I meant to use science and spirituality to define womanhood in its entirety as a whole. And that was done intentionally, actually.
Okay, okay. And okay, you explain what womanhood, what being a woman is, and as a man, coming from a man, it's interesting. But in your opinion, what is the, you explain the scientific part and the spiritual part, but what is the biggest misunderstanding society has today about womanhood, in your opinion?
In my opinion, and I just want to make sure I clarify something, even in the book, I never truly put a definition on what womanhood is. So, what I did instead, I used the experiences that I've had with the women in my life, some very powerful women that I still am blessed to have in my life. And based on that, I offer these as examples to my daughter and other readers. And I'm hoping they can pull from that and define for themselves what womanhood is. So my intention is not to define it. My intention is this is what I've experienced. And this is what I admire from them and allow the reader to draw their own conclusion. So now let me go back to answer your question. So the biggest misunderstanding I believe society has today about womanhood is thinking that because women are physically weaker, that they are the weaker sex, which I do not believe at all. That we should not consider them weaker sex simply because men tend to be physically stronger. Physical strength, yes, is one attribute that define a person. But when you look at emotional intelligence, resilience, empathy, and the ability to nurture and sustain life, women often demonstrate incredible strength. So, in many ways, these qualities are just as important, if not more important, than the physical power, brute force. So, because of this, right, so I develop a deeper respect for women and the influence they carry within families and societies. So, to me, their strength goes far beyond the physical and plays a vital role in shaping future generations. And as you mentioned, the Bible being the foundation for my book, I truly believe there is a reason why God had to remind wise women to be submissive to their husband, right? I don't see this as a weakness. I look at it as a challenge to be humble and being able to willingly allow the space for partnership. So not so much as a weakness.
Okay, interesting. Okay, now we're gonna move to the Haitian family culture, which is one of my favorite part of this interview, because we have to remember that we're talking about this book, the father and daughter talk.
Yes.
We know in Haitian culture, we often struggle to maintain healthy boundaries with family, because you should just everyone to find their peace, to if they're struggling with their close family. But What advice will you give to people who want to respect their families while also protecting their emotional well-being? How can we do that? I want to know the secret, honestly. Me personally,
Right. Yeah, no, that's another good question. And I touch a bit on that in the book. It's okay to love your family from a distance. It is healthy to set boundaries and removing yourself from triggering situation to protect your well-being, your mental state, especially when dealing with invasive family members.
exactly.
Yeah.
And before you
So,
continue, you know what
yeah,
they used to say? Oh, kitem pou mouri, ba do. If
right.
you get closer, you get hurt, and if you keep distance yourself, you'll be like being the bad kid. So how do we maintain the balance?
And it's education, right? So we're an extension of our family members. So if we're taking our parents as an example, a lot of times they do not have the education that we do have. So our goal is to be able to extend whatever we've learned to improve the whole family as a whole. So loving someone doesn't mean tolerating behaviors that harms your peace or your mental state. So family should still matter, but protecting your mental and emotional health must also remain a priority. And that's one way for us to teach that, right? So in there, by removing ourselves, by setting clear boundaries, and when giving the opportunity to love, we do go back and love and put our arms around them to let them know nothing has changed by the way I feel about you. However, there are some behaviors that I can no longer tolerate, and we all need to be better. So there are opportunities, we have to look for them. I think when you remove yourself, you have to be very strategic in making sure that you did not abandon folks. You're just removing yourself from your situation, but the day that there's an issue, you be the first one to be there and support as needed.
So it's clear communication with respect, but firm boundaries. So that's the
Firm
whole.
boundaries. And it takes a lot of maturity as well to do this, because sometimes you'll start feeling bad, you start thinking that you are the bad person. So you got to overcome all of that, and that comes with emotional maturity, and also making sure that you have a clean heart, right? So you're doing this for the right reasons and not punishing anybody. Hmm.
Yeah, and about clear communication, we all know that Haitian parents have difficulty expressing their feelings openly to their children. It's rare, really rare to hear from them like, I love you, mwere meo. They'd rather like bully you. I know not every Haitian parent, I gotta say that because my mom, she keeps telling me all the time that she loves me, but I
Oh,
know
very good.
it'd be like, they'd rather give you food instead of saying I love you. They'd rather
Hmm.
give you your favorite food, your favorite meal instead of saying I love you. So why as a parent? Because you're now a parent. As a parent, why do you think many Haitian parents have difficulty expressing their feelings openly to their children? Why?
Very interesting question. Culture plays a bigger role in this than parenting alone. In many cultures, emotions are not expressed verbally, they are acted out. So sometimes when parents hit their children, it says more about the parents' inability to express their emotions more than it does about the child's behavior, right? So whether they were angry, frustrated, tired, or scared, right? So many of these same parents will go above and beyond to provide, protect, and sacrifice for their children as a way of expressing love. Yet very few will actually
Explain
articulate the
care.
words "I love you" to their children, or even in that case, let's not make it a parent children issue. We could open it to partners. Even with partners, right? It's hard for them to say "I love you," but they would go above and beyond to show you their love. So to me, I think this is an understanding, a culture matter. The love, care, or intention someone is looking for may already be there. It may just be communicated in a language that they were never taught to recognize, or they were not expecting to receive, or not ready to receive. So I believe it's a cultural issue more than it is love,
Okay, now
or
you
not being
explain
proud of your children or sharing emotions with feelings with your children.
you explain the reason. I know they can show how they love us, but is there any solution, any advice to give the kids to help the parents to express more themselves? Because we love to hear how much they love us. I know they can show it to us. We would like to hear like from them more
Yeah, no,
often.
yeah, I get it. Everybody wants to be reaffirmed every now and then. So I think, like I said, especially us now who's living in outside of Haiti, and we being exposed to a different culture where people are a little bit more comfortable expressing themselves. I think we should take the lead on that. We are the one that should put our hands around them and tell them we love them. We are the one that should lead by example and hoping they could catch on. And I'll tell you an example. Even my father's 84 right now.
Wow.
Recently, he's a great father. I talked a little bit about him in my opening statement there. And over the years, he has never said, I love you. But recently, I think it was for his birthday, I think my son actually got him to say, I love you for the very first time. And that was big. That was
Congratulations, though.
Yeah, I know that was big to us. Right after 84 years, and he actually said it. So I shared the voice message with my sister, and that's the way we do it, right? So we got a kid leading by example. I could not do it, but my son was able to. So it takes a few generations before he can get on board. So it's gonna take some time.
That's a sweet story sharing. Thank you so much. Maybe you never know. Maybe one of our followers would be like trying to do the same thing with their parents to make them say they love them. So
That's
yeah,
right.
that
The
was
kids could get it out of them.
yeah. But now we're going to talk about another subject, which is women's sacrifice and identity. You talk a lot about your, maybe you won't, the most important women in your life, which is your aunt, grandma, if I,
Yes.
yes. And I know we all deeply admire the courage and sacrifices of our mothers, grandmothers, aunts, and older sisters. We all are. But do you think we should also encourage our daughters to focus on loving themselves and building their own identity first? Because some women sacrifice so much that they lose themselves along the way. So, what do you think about
Yeah, you have some really good questions, tough questions.
that?
um, so here's the thing. I
I
always
know
tell
that the book
people,
is really interesting, though.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks for the feedback. I always tell people to take care of yourself and prioritize your well-being. I firmly believe that you can't give what you don't have. Taking care of yourself puts you in the right mental and emotional state to give your best to others. So I often hear people say that once you have children, your priorities have changed and you can no longer do the things you once enjoyed when you were single or childless. So, in many ways, that is true. And it's also a natural part of life. So, when you enter a new phase of life, your priorities should evolve with that as well. So, embracing that new stage allows you to show up more fully for the responsibilities and relationships that come with that, right? So I do tell people to take care of yourself and make yourself a priority first. And again, which is not a new concept. We hear it a lot this time. Take care
Hmm.
of yourself first. But the Bible has been very clear about that with the first commandment. But the second part that I think some people misunderstand, or maybe the expectations are not aligned, is they are expecting to live the same life prior to their children. And sometimes it's not so much that you lose yourself, you just need to rebrand your priorities, right? So what was fun, you can still have fun, it just look a little bit different. And that means responsibilities with a kid, hanging out with a kid, certain places you may not be able to go as frequently as you would like to as an adult. So we just need to be able to adapt with based on the different phases that we are in. And while we are doing that, making sure we're taking care of ourselves along the way.
Okay, we're talking about this book, Dear Orly, the father and daughter talk about Parnel. We talk about fatherhood. We talk about womanhood. We also talk about Haitian family culture. And we also talk about women, sacrifice, and identity. You give a lot of advice to your daughter in this book, and also you share advice about money, values, and spirituality, and financial part. In the book, you also discuss financial wisdom. Some people believe money is the answer to everything. Since you include the Bible in your story, yet the Bible warns that the love of money can lead to sin. So, how can we maintain the balance between pursuing money and have to keep that in mind that the Bible say, I presume it's like Galatians 6 verse 10. I might be
All
wrong.
right, so somebody's showing off here. You know your Bible.
Yeah, the love of money can lead to sin, but also you give a lot of financial advice in this book. So how can we stay balanced in that? How do you personally balance financial success with spiritual values?
Yeah, no, good question. Spiritual values, in my opinion, have a direct link to wealth. For example, someone's credit score can reveal a lot about their spiritual habits or values. So, in many cases, when you exemplify spiritual values, naturally, you should attract and sustain wealth, right? So balancing financial success with spiritual values begin with understanding the role of money. I don't see money as the answer to everything, but rather as a tool. The Bible warns us about the love of money, but not money itself, right? So people always get that confused. Don't love it, it's fine to use it. So when money becomes the priority, it can easily lead people away from their values. For me, financial wisdom means managing resources responsibly while keeping faith and character at the center of it. Success should never come at the cost of integrity, compassion, or purpose. So instead, financial stability should create opportunities to improve self, support family, help others, and make a positive impact in your community. So in that sense, money is not the goal. It's a resource that we need to use, that we need to manage with wisdom and humility, and something that we can use to serve a greater purpose, right? So it's not about the money at all. Instead, it's about who you are becoming to become a valuable person, someone who attract wealth, right? So as valuable as you become, the easier money will find you based on the value that you can provide. So don't love money, but definitely find ways to attract it so that you can always have it to do the things that you want to do for yourself and for your family and your community.
Okay, so the point is money is important, but don't love him. Don't love it.
Well,
So
there's no reason to love money. It's a thing, right? So it's hard to show love for a wall. It's hard to show love for a tree. Even a tree can actually give you some comfort and stuff, but it's hard to do so. It's a thing, not
so just
something.
see it as it is. It's a resources to take care of your
That's all. It's just a tool.
what's important for you.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Which is really interesting. Yeah, that was clear. That was really clear. And you also explained what true wealth means to you. It's not about the money, it's what you value, it's like your family, what's important for you. Don't let the money be the most important part in your life. Use it to take care of what's important for you.
Exactly. To
Oh,
enjoy the best the world has to offer. Why not?
okay. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the next question will be with this book, Dear Ellie. Which chapter of Dear Aurelie was the most emotional or difficult for you to write?
I, without any doubt, I think chapter one for sure.
Hmm.
So chapter one was the hardest one for me because I shared a lot of intimate and personal information there. But I felt like I needed to do this to be vulnerable so that I have an opportunity to connect directly with my daughter.
I love you to her.
Exactly, right? So I needed to be open. I needed to be vulnerable. I needed to be transparent. That way I can set the tone for the rest of the letter or book, and in this case, for her. That was the hardest part for me because obviously I am a very reserved person. I share very little, so that was the toughest one.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Did writing this book change you in any way?
Definitely. So writing is very therapeutic. I did feel a sense of relief and accomplishment, but it also challenges me to live a more reflective and intentional life moving forward, because I do plan to one day write another book for my son. So yeah, it makes me very intentional moving forward.
Period. Congratulations, though. At least he
Thank you.
was like, okay, Dad, you're gonna write one for me. I thought you only love your daughter. That's great. That's great. That's balance.
Yes.
Okay. But speaking of dear Orally, the real talk, the father and daughter talk. If you could give one piece of advice to your daughter and to daughters around the world, Haitian daughters, any daughters, even for me as a daughter, what would it be?
Nothing too deep. I know life seems very complex, but the simple stuff still matters. Saying please and thank you or still get things done. So what I'll tell them is, which what I share with my kids all the time, would be very self-sufficient, and while being self-sufficient, allow room for partnership, because it's very important. It helps you become a whole person. Be happy, have healthy relationships, build them, be intentional. And again, this is all relationships, not, I'm not talking about just romantic relationships here. And just being able to have freedom, right, to choose and have the courage to live life on your own terms. And in order for you to have options and live life on your own terms, you need to become self sufficient. You need to get your stuff in line. And that includes creating wealth and managing it, right? To make sure you could have that kind of freedom. So that would be my answer, which is my message truly in the book, is just to make sure that let's take control of our own lives, but while maintaining meaningful relationships.
Thank you so much, Parnell. Thank you so much. We talked a lot about this book, but I think people after this talk will know what to expect. We talk about money, women, sacrifice, identity, Haitian family culture,
Yes.
womanhood, fatherhood. That's really a interesting book. And where can people find your book?
So the book is available on Amazon. We have different format of the book. So we have the paperback like you have in your hand. So we have a digital format as well for people who like to read on their digital gadgets. And we also have an audio format, right? So for people who are listeners, right? People who are traveling, commuting to work. So we have different options for them, but they should all be available on Amazon.
Period. Is there anything you want to add? Anything you want to say before we close this chapter?
I'll say thank you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. Thank you for recognizing my book, my effort, my work. Just a little bit about the driver behind the book, which is my daughter, Aurelie. I want to give her a shout out. She's a very beautiful,
Yay!
kind, intelligent young lady who actually bring purpose into my life, right? So I'm excited to see who she's becoming and excited to see what her contribution is going to be to society. So I'm a very proud father, very proud of her. And then for every little girl out there who do not have maybe a father involved in your life, the book is written for you. Even if you feel like you don't have the funds to purchase the book, get in contact with me and I would be more than happy to provide a free book, because I really believe it's important for every little girl to have a father's voice in guiding them through life as they become a woman. I thank you again for giving me this opportunity, and looking forward to maybe partnering with you guys again in AHP. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. Thanks to you too, Parnel Jean. Thank you so much for this book. Thank you for your advices. And also thank you. Shout out to NAAHP for this opportunity, for all of these episodes. And thank you to Collège Cafe, our partner for this series. And thank you to everyone who was watching. And we love you all and see you in the next episode. My name is
Thank
Johanna,
you.
and I was happy to be with you.
Thank you.